For helping, you get a gallon of free grape juice that you picked. So come to the Lane Agri Park from 7 to 11 this Saturday morning and pick some grapes. Those are WGNS Good Neighbor events.
If you're looking for an authentic relationship with financial experts who genuinely care about your unique needs, Capstar Bank is for you. Capstar Bank is dedicated to the people of this community. Capstar Bank wants to help you reach your financial goals because at Capstar Bank, you matter to us. Capstar Bank, 2230 Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard, capstarbank.com. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Rutherford Issues with Brian Barrett on FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna, and streaming at WGNSradio.com.
Back on Rutherford Issues, powered by Middle Tennessee Electric. They're sharing change, funded by members who round up their electric bills to the nearest dollar each month as a donation. By doing that, you're supporting hundreds of nonprofits, $11 million and growing, thanks to you. If you're not part of Sharing Change and would be interested in rounding up your bill, go to sharingchange.org to find out more information. Talk today about the Heart of Tennessee chapter of the American Red Cross, and we have the man himself, the executive director, John Mitchell, who is typically this time of the year, John, I guess it just seems to be an annual occurrence in the late summer, early fall and hurricane response, and headed to Florida, I hear.
I am. So it was about this time last year that I went on a 2-week deployment, working with the other Red Cross responders and our great community partners in hurricane relief efforts for Hurricane Ian. So I'll be headed to Tallahassee late this afternoon and spending 2 weeks in the Tallahassee area, really North Georgia or North Florida and South Georgia is the bigger impacted areas that I know of into the Carolinas. But yeah, that's, when they say it's hurricane season, I don't even think we're officially halfway through it. A lot of activity. It's been a pretty busy season, but that's what we're here for, is to respond, when people are, just having maybe their worst day of the year.
Yeah, and the thing about this Idalia that came in the bend of Florida, it is amazing that there's any coastline that had not seen a hurricane like that since the 1800s, but that is exactly what happened. And when you look at Florida, you understand the Panhandle, but then they call it the Big Bend, and the Tallahassee area in that Big Bend. Cedar Key, I think, was one that was very hard hit, but you mentioned Georgia, and just the amount of rain that fell through there really did some damage, it seems.
It did. As a matter of fact, one of the things that we know is, that, the devastation, left behind, we've got a lot of workers that are providing comfort, support, and relief, but many of the communities affected by Idalia, they're in remote areas, and people are choosing to stay in their homes rather than travel to a shelter. So what the Red Cross is focusing on is bringing relief directly to them, including meals, cleanup kits, other resources that they may need. And so that's we kind of have to adjust how we're going to serve the community based off of some of their cultural or geographic, situations.
That is a very interesting point. We hear that, no disaster, no hurricane is the same in terms of the weather it brings, but I'm sure in terms of the response as well. If more people stayed in their homes and, are staying, that means you have to, for them to get the resources, go to them many times. So that's kind of going to be the game plan here, it seems.
Yeah, and I learned that when I was down in Florida last year, we may end up set up a pop-up site to where we see where traffic flow is, and that may be a site where there's a Red Cross presence, and they may have cleanup, tools like it's rakes or shovels, and of course water is always something of need. and then the meals is a big thing. So we have what we call herb drivers go into communities, and it's really, I can tell you, it was at least 3 weeks, maybe 2 to 3 weeks after the Hurricane Ian had to hit landfall when I went, and they were still, it was still a very fluid situation of identifying where the herb trucks were going, because, some people are moving to the shelter, then they move back home. Then all of a sudden somebody, what makes us aware that this community needs the service, but we just didn't know. And so we're constantly, throughout the whole process, just assessing, where the greatest need is, taking it to them, working with community partners like FEMA. But there's a lot of churches that really come down and work with us, like doing the meals. We'll provide the funding. Our funding will provide for a lot of the meals, but then we may have like a Baptist association or a Church of Christ association come in and bring some people in to help provide the meals. So it's kind of encouraging to see everybody come together from all states, all backgrounds. There really is a humanitarian heart out there, and that's encouraging to see firsthand.
John Mitchell is with us today. He's the executive director of the Heart of Tennessee chapter of the American Red Cross, and preparing to deploy to Florida this afternoon and to the Big Bend area that suffered the, direct hit from Hurricane Idalia, but that storm, not only the storm surge in that area, but the heavy rain in Georgia. I mean, they set all kinds of records in terms of the rainfall there. So plenty of work to do. Now, you mentioned in that, John, just a second ago, an ERV vehicle or something like that. What is that?
Yeah, emergency response vehicle.
Okay.
And then there's another. Yeah, we're heavy with acronyms.
Yeah.
And it drives me crazy with it. And so I end up, starting to talk lingo outside too. And then we have something called a MERV, but that's a little different in the sense the MERV is definitely one of these vans you see that's got a tall ceiling, but we're going to take tarps and rakes and shovels and all these kind of things you need in the initial cleanup, the cleanup kits. An ERV most likely looks more like a box truck, and it's a feeding vehicle. So we'll have one central location where one of our feeding partners is preparing the meals, and then they pick up the meals, and then they know to take it to various shelters or various points of like I said, if people are staying in their homes, we know to go right in that community and have a schedule of when we arrive so they know they can come get a meal. It just takes, they're dealing with a lot. They may be, tarping up a hole in their house. They're looking for stuff. And so when they can just know that we're going to provide a meal, it's very humbling. They're very appreciative. And a lot of things that we do, we talk about the tarps and the meals and all that, but a lot of it is, it's not as transactional as much as it's, humanitarian and transformational in the sense that sometimes they just want to talk, and so the mental health component plays a big role in just talking to somebody, letting them, talk about what they went through, and you being there to help them is part of their recovery process.
John, as we've mentioned, hurricane season, we've got another 6 weeks, 2 months of that. There's another storm that's, out there, a Category 5 storm. I think it's Lee or something like that, but
yeah.
Have no idea whether that's going to make landfall in the United States or not. But I mean, even if it's in the islands, Puerto Rico, Haiti, there's usually a disaster response to those areas as well. So, it's just kind of par for the course this time of the year, it seems.
Yeah, definitely so. As a matter of fact, Brian, if we was to take, and I've said this before, but there was a model of time in between us responding to a major, disaster, and it's went from, 20 days 2 years ago to 12 days between us responding to a big disaster, because it was maybe a month and a half ago, a typhoon, I guess as they call it, hit Guam, which we have a military presence there. We still have people in Guam. Then, of course, the unbelievable, tragic scene in Hawaii.
Yeah.
It's just, heartfelt. Last week we had 3 of our volunteers go on deployment. 2 of them to Hawaii after Sandy had been there for 3 weeks, and then and that's Sandy Hughes. We're talking hurricane, so when I said Sandy, I thought I better clear that up.
Yeah.
That's the first one, not the hurricane. One of them was going down to Florida for 2 weeks, and she's decided to stay another week to help. So I say that to let everybody know we're stretched pretty thin. We've got a great volunteer base. 90% of what we do is volunteers. People like myself that are staff members, we'll get in there and work right with them. But we really lean on the volunteer component. So if you've ever thought about wanting to respond to something like this is a good time to get in and get some of the training. You can go to redcross.org. Feel free to call my cell phone. Well, I guess you might want to text me in the next couple weeks, but, we'd love to sit down and talk to you. The options are not, hey, you join the Red Cross and you're going on a plane to Florida. The options start with, hey, I may want to just be on a team and do Homes Made Safer presentations and install smoke alarms in my neighborhood. That's a volunteer opportunity. Then it can, accelerate to, I think I've got a little more time and I could be part of the disaster action team that responds to house fires. We have over 100 house fires that are going to happen annually in our 10 county chapter. So, that's one of the biggest needs we have. We have some people that sign up to be a blood ambassador, which means they help check people in that at the blood drives, whether it's at our fixed site or off site. So there's a wide range of volunteer opportunities from doing it very local, based off of your schedule, to the point if you're ever ready and, would have the time and the ability to go on a deployment like I'm going.
John, one final thing, got about a minute or so here. One of the big things that's coming up is the blood battle, Middle Tennessee and Western Kentucky, and this is going to help with, obviously, the blood shortage, critically low on blood, and I think you've got a goal of about 400 units for the Bleed Blue blood drive, which is coming up here on the 25th through the 27th of this month.
Yeah, and here's a little bit of a sales pitch, if you will. Not only do we want you to come and give blood because we need it, but this is an opportunity for you to drive on MTSU's campus and park close to your destination without any hassle.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a great incentive of anything. So we have 16 parking spots reserved. You drive up to the rec center, you're giving blood, you just park in that spot, walk in, give blood. Could take about an hour to do the whole process. You get a T-shirt. There's some other Amazon gift cards that are available. So it's a great opportunity, and it's really staffed up too. So if you're going to do a blood drive and you haven't done it before, when you walk in, they're very expedient with how they do that, because it's the biggest blood drive we have all year, and we have a lot of staff there on hand ready to help.
Yeah, and again, that's the 25th, 26th, and 27th from 11 a.m. until 6 p.m. You can find out more about that on our website as well, and be sure to give the gift of life. There's a sign-up if you just search for the Bleed Blue Beat WKU, and on our website you'll be able to find where you can actually get that as well. And a big time out there, and you're helping a lot of folks. So, and it's always nice to beat Western Kentucky in anything.
Yes. We call it 100 Miles of Hope now, as opposed to the other name. But, yeah, we're still competitive. We've been victorious every year, and we want to keep that going. And I'd give another quick shout out to the Blue Goose golf tournament that's happening. The Blue Goose International Pond is agencies. It's a conglomerate of some insurance agencies that do some good. So next Friday at Indian Hills, they're doing a golf tournament, and the Red Cross is the beneficiary. So thank you to those people that are making us the recipient of a good time and people donating for a good cause.
John, appreciate you spending some time with us, and safe travels to Florida, okay?
Okay, thank you, Brian. We'll keep you posted, and if it ever works out, I could give a check-in from down there.
Okay.
If not, I'll see you when I get back.
Let's do that. All right, John, appreciate it. John Mitchell joining us today here on Rutherford Issues. A reminder, if you missed part of the program, go back and check the podcast on our website. Also, wherever you listen to audio, Spotify, Apple Music, any of those places, you'll be able to find us.
This is Lenny Farmer with Jennings & Ayers Funeral Home. Did you know that you can plan your funeral in advance without